All right. Will do, Maddie. Let's upload the Shaman's video before I forget. I forgot to upload the Marvel video yesterday right away, and I forgot. Do we need a Kiki emote? Maybe. I actually do have extra emote slots at the moment. We definitely play enough Kikis that that's probably not unreasonable. Jaw, more support for Dredge. Thank you for the bits. 10 out of 10. I'll get that added. This hand's pretty good. It's got 2 mana creatures in it. It's got plenty of mana. It's got some cantrips to try and find the Ascendancy. I am excited that I'm gonna get to play my Altered Birds of Paradise this weekend. I haven't shuffled up my Altered Birds in a long time. Dark Slick Shores, Serum Visions generally means ad nauseam. Hey, Zesty Brosif with the 3-month resubscription. Thank you very much and welcome back. I appreciate the continued support. So I'm gonna grab Temple Garden here. It's awkward. Probably just want all the blue sources, right? And I really don't need double white ever. I don't know where my birds are offhand. I do need to find them. I need to find them if I want to play them on Saturday. They're in a backpack or a back. It's been a long time since I've had an excuse to play them, so I'm actually not sure where they are offhand. Can't you hear them chirping? Yeah, Temple of Enlightenment almost certainly means ad nauseam. I'm gonna time out that message. I sold them. Get out of here, Matthew. Hey, Balangaz, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month. Oh, geez, I'm such a bad shill this morning. I've been streaming for an hour and haven't had a shill break yet. I'll have to fix that. All right, let's do this. And then I'm gonna play this. This will probably fetch Steam Vents and Cerulean Wisps at end of turn. Oh, I guess Cerulean Wisps is free. Yeah, this was a mistake. I should have played the Cerulean Wisps on my turn because I could have drawn a 1-mana cantrip like a Serum Visions or a Sleight of Hand here. Lantern's a very good matchup for this deck. We can kill them without attacking, and we draw infinite cards. One of the reasons to play this deck is a great Lantern matchup. So if you just like hate Lantern with a burning passion like I do, yeah, that's why we make everything accessible in the queues. People can check and see what's going on there. It's funny to me that Treecorn's like a card people are playing again, because that's like some old school Dredge tech. Like that was like that's like the OG Dredge tech from when people the cards for like when Grave Troll got unbanned. That's like one of the cards people were playing. Draw. Nope. No Serum Visions. All right, so they suspended Lotus Bloom. We could theoretically die next turn, but it takes a lot of Spirit Guides. Gonna lean on Abundant Growth and see where we go from there. Perfect. Do I want to play out this Sylvan Caryatid? I almost feel like I don't, right? Like 2 mana creatures is plenty. And I think I'd rather just keep the extra card in my hand. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and pass here, I think. Yeah, go. I'll never play Neonate again. Okay. See if they have a Pact of Negation here. Hopefully they're dead. I guess they could have an Angel's Grace here. So the fact that I don't have Silence in my main deck's a little bit awkward. So I guess I need to be a little bit conservative about how I'm going off here, because of the potential of Angel's Grace, especially in game 1. So like, post board, I'll have 4 copies of Silence, which makes it a lot easier because I'll like be able to silence earlier into my combo consistently. Oh, we can kill them with City of Brass, like on their upkeep, probably, can't we? Glittering Wish, sure. Sometimes your choices are made for you. Make blue white here. Blood is not an instant. All right, perfect. And that's a great draw here, because it means my opponent's gonna have to like do their thing, which means I get to stop, or we get to. So I'm gonna cast this now because it lets me know what's up. Basically, I'm not gonna loot here because I've got plenty of stuff. So are you dead? Sweet, they're dead. All right. God bless us. And that's why even in matchups where like, like they don't have counter spells, like getting to just like resolve the silence, it's just like, it just feels good. You're just like, all right, yeah, you're dead. You literally can't respond now. You can't even bluff anything. You just can't cast any more spells this game. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab Flesh Blood. At this point, I'm just gonna play the other Ascendancy out here. So for those of you that haven't seen this deck before, what you do is you loot through your deck, casting a bunch of spells here, and then eventually your creatures keep getting larger and larger on the back of these Jeskai Ascendancies, and then you kill your opponent either by attacking with the really large Birds of Paradise or by using Flesh Blood to deal direct damage to them. I'm just choosing not to loot here because like I kind of like all of the cards in my hand. There's really no reason to loot since I have plenty of spells. And like now, I don't really want this third Jeskai Ascendancy, so I'm going to loot through that potentially. I have an article from earlier this year on the deck on Gathering Magic. I don't remember if I talked about specific matchups in that or not yet. Burn is a bad matchup. Burn and discard-based disruption decks are your bad matchups. Leyline of Sanctity helps a little bit, but they're still not amazing. All right, and they're actually dead at this point, right? And just like cast Flesh Blood. Target this, target you. Angel's Grace is bugged on Magic Online. We knew it was bugged. I knew it was bugged when it didn't work yesterday. That wasn't a question. I knew how the Magic rules worked. I knew for certain how the Magic rules worked. All right, so Engineered Explosives comes out here. Again, if you've never seen this deck before, when you're sideboarding, the question you want to be asking yourself is, what disruption package do you want? So we have essentially 3 different disruption packages with this deck. There are the Leyline of Sanctities for an anti-discard based anti-disruption package. There are permanent based removal for taking things like Meddling Mage and stuff like that off the table, and there's counter/spell based disruption anti-package. So I want silences against Ad Nauseam. This is one of the like 2 decks I'm considering playing at the Energy event this weekend. We're gonna play Kiki Court after this, and I might be swayed by the power of Kiki Jiki, but this is my top pick currently. I think this deck is very good. You guys want to trim the Noxious Revival here? I guess that generates extra mana. Maybe I'll just trim an Opt. Maybe I'll just trim an Opt. It's Opt or it's either the Opt or the Noxious Revival. The Noxious Revival is nice because it provides redundancy should my opponent like Pact of Negation my Jeskai Ascendancy, but like Opt's just a nice cantrip. That's true. We do have Legacy All-Star Chain Whirler in our Kiki-Jiki deck today. This format is a team-constructed event in Chicago. Yeah, it seems pretty good. It's a little bit awkward that we have Basic Island Glittering Wish, but like I've got the Sylvan Caryatid. So like, and I've got Silence, which is anti-disruption. It's actually just like really good, right? I have a cantrip, I have my anti-disruption, and I have a Mana Dork and a Jeskai Ascendancy. Sylvan Caryatid is the best mana creature in this deck. It has hexproof. So like making your combo cards harder to interact with is very important. There's no video coverage of the team event this weekend. It's a good draw too. I'm gonna keep Nagging Thoughts. We basically just want spells at this point so we can combo. That's actually why I'm playing in the event, because Matt normally does coverage for NRG. Fun fact, when the last counter comes off of this, you can silence them so they can't cast it. Just for a heads up. That is in fact how Magic works. So 2 turns from now, during their upkeep in response to this trigger, we're going to silence them. Just go. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, my opponent. Do 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 do. Is there any difference between untapping and then looting or vice versa? You should always untap first. You should always untap first if you have Nagging Thoughts in your deck. When it is strictly correct to untap first when you have Nagging Thoughts in your deck, because if you loot into a Nagging Thoughts, you want to have your mana creatures untapped so you can pay mana to cast the Nagging Thoughts for Madness when you draw and discard it. So it does matter, and you want to untap first. At least in my build with Nagging Thoughts. If you don't have any Madness cards in your deck, it's probably irrelevant. If you're not playing any Madness cards, it's probably just irrelevant. But if you have Nagging Thoughts, it is strictly correct to untap first. Noxious Revival, Snivik. You can also just play more I changed. You should put a second Silence in the main and a second Noxious Revival, and then in the sideboard you should play an extra Path to Exile or an extra Abrupt Decay. Those are what I would do. So if you can't afford Engineered Explosives, you should play another Silence and another Noxious Revival in the main deck, and you should play another Abrupt Decay in the sideboard. If you can't afford Noble Hierarchs, you should play a 4th Opt and a 17th Land. Those are the 2 cards people ask about budgeting in the deck list pretty consistently. Those are the 4 expensive cards. This deck is extremely cheap to build, except for those 4 cards. You can also replace fetches in the mana base with more rainbow lands. I do think they're much worse, but the deck is still functional. There's a lot of I'm not gonna play the Sleight of Hand here. Not only do I want it with Jeskai Ascendancy, but I want to hold up double white here in case my opponent has a Pact of Negation for my first Silence. So the last counter is going to come off of this, and they can't cast spells, so Lotus Bloom just stays exiled here. What would the 17th land be? Either a Stomping Ground or another fetch land, Flooded Strand or Misty Rainforest. Flooded Strand and Misty Rainforest are the same fetch land in this deck, so I'd probably just play one more of those. Or a Rainbow land. You could play a City of Brass or a Mana Confluence. Probably the Silence. Probably the Silence. So I'm actually going to lead on Silence here. And just what a good clean interactive format. Just shh, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, my opponent. Do 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 do. Humans is close to a coin flip. Their disruption is good against you, but sometimes you just kill them. And post-board, you have a lot of meaningful anti-disruption. We're looking for, so currently our bottleneck is having enough mana. So I'm looking for a Noxious Revival or a Cerulean Wisps here so I can jump up mana, or a Fatestitcher. Manamorphose is okay. There's a non-zero chance we brick off here. Our hand is not very good at the moment. Which I suppose if I brick off, we could die next turn, which would be bad. We're looking for Cerulean Wisps here. We get 2 shots at a Cerulean Wisp or a Noxious Revival. And if we brick on a 1 mana spell, we have to stop comboing, which we did. So again, the combos with this deck aren't always deterministic. You can brick and die. I need the 100-bit badge. Thank you, Nathan. Silence is like a lock on your door. It lets you play with yourself in peace. And now, there's a good chance I combo next turn, but that does mean that I'm going to have to be wary of Angel's Grace, so I am going to want to try and find a 3rd copy of Silence, which we have 4 of in our deck right now, before we fully go for the kill. Because we want to guarantee that our opponent can't interact with us. I mean, I am here like a full-time job now. I think my May report said that I streamed like 160 hours in May or something like that. Am I dead? What are we naming here? Oh, that's adorable. Do they think I can't kill them through Unlife? They might think that I can't kill them through Unlife, which is definitely not true. They can definitely die with Unlife in play. Not only do we have Flesh, Blood plus attacking, but we have Glittering Wish. That's not what Abundant Growth does. Cheesy Cake, please look up the text of that card. It's not what Abundant Growth draws a card when it comes into play. And this is Nagging Thoughts is perfect. Like, this puts a Fatestitcher in my bin, which is great. And there's a Silence. Let's go ahead and Silence before we exhume the Fatestitcher, unearth, whatever it's called. All right, they should be pretty dead at this point. Again, not 100% guaranteed, because we could brick off. This combo is not always deterministic, but we are a strong favorite at this point. Am I supposed to play this other Ascendancy? I probably am at this point, right? I think I have enough cards. I think I have enough cards that I'm just supposed to play this other Ascendancy. Yeah, that's probably the case. Yeah, we attack them down to 0 and cast Blood, or we... what's the word that I'm searching for? Or we can Glittering Wish for Wear Tear and kill the Phyrexian Unlife. Either of those work. In fact, at this point, Glittering Wish is just lethal, right? Because we just get to Wear Tear, and then this Fatestitcher is already, like, in the lethal zone, so we're going to loot pretty aggressively here. Because just, like, Glittering Wish kills them, because they've been silenced, so they're guaranteed to die. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. Remember I said Glittering Wish kills them? God bless us, everyone. I don't even need... Like, we just have all the stuff at this point. Just get to make all the mana. And that's one of the reasons why I really like this deck too, is because it's got a lot of utility cards in it too, which is great in my opinion. I'm a sucker for good utility cards. There's really no reason to keep looting at this point. Sure. So opponent's been silenced, so we know they can't do anything here. So I'm gonna grab a Wear Tear. Tear that one. Attack you for 10 with this Fatestitcher. I think this deck is very, very reasonable against all the other decks that are just trying to linear race you in Modern. Decks like Storm and Ad Nauseam and Amulet Titan and Valakut. Like, our linear plane in conjunction with getting to play a bunch of copies of Silence is just very good in all these matchups. So, this deck's like a Restoration Angel away from being everything I love in Magic, right? Good morning, afternoon, and good night to everybody wherever in the world. While we're waiting for the second match to pop, I'd just like to thank everyone for hanging out here today. My name's Jeff Hogan. I stream Magic full-time here on Twitch. We play a ton of Modern. We play some Legacy. We play some Vintage. I also stream games like Hearthstone and Hex on occasion. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are a big part of why I'm able to do this full-time like I do. If you're not familiar, subscriptions start at $4.99 a month, or if you're one of the many people in the world who has Amazon Prime, when linked to your Twitch account gets you Twitch Prime included with that for free, and Twitch Prime gives you a free channel subscription to a channel of your choice every single month here on Twitch. You can also support my content by checking out some of my wonderful sponsors. MTGOtraders.com would love to buy and sell some Magic Online cards with you, and if you use code Hoagland PayPal at checkout with them, you'll save 8% on your singles orders there. CoolStuffInc.com buys and sells a lot of cool stuff, including TCG singles. Using promo code Jeff5, you can save 5% on Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience. Using code Jeff12, you can save 12% on custom playmats, mouse pads, binders, and bags there. And of course, myself and all the moderators here would like to welcome everyone to Hoaglandia. Please talk to your friendly neighborhood moderator about receiving your complimentary timeout. We're 1-0 in this league with Jeskai Ascendancy. I'm playing the Modern seat for a Team 5K in Chicago this weekend, and this is the deck that's currently at the top of the list for decks I'm thinking about playing. What would be the perks of playing Jeskai Ascendancy as opposed to other critical? Yeah, this deck doesn't really care about hate cards. You get to Fatestitcher is your only card that uses the graveyard, and you can win without Fatestitcher. We don't care about artifact hate, obviously. We care about things like Damping Sphere, but like having access to cards like Glittering Wish give us a lot of clean answers to Damping Sphere. This deck doesn't really care about Blood Moon because you have a bunch of mana creatures, you have a bunch of Manamorphose, which is really funny. Like the fact that this deck is like one basic land and just like gets to give a giant middle finger to Blood Moon is fantastic. So yeah, getting to dodge hate cards is a big appeal. Who am I playing with? I'm playing with Matt Bamonte, who's someone I've traveled with a bunch, and then one of our buddies, Jeremy Banks, who's a local player here. I heard the next Avengers film is set in Hoaglandia. All right, I get to... Now, this is definitely a hand where we're not particularly well set to beat Storm here, right? Because, like, they were on the play, and we don't have a turn 2 or turn 3 kill set up just yet. So, there is a good chance we just die on their next turn because we're going to let them untap with this. Post-board, when we have 4 copies of Silence in our deck, this gets much better for us because copies of Silence are interaction when we don't have our nut draws, but game 1 is just a race, and our hand is not set up very quickly to race. Jeremy is playing Standard, Matt's playing Legacy. You should definitely just put an Angel in so you love it more. Ascendancy. 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 CoolStuffInc.com should be your source for all Magic the Gathering cards. You can use code Jeff5 to save 5% on there. And they will hook you up. I talked earlier about what I would replace. Again, like, that's not good deck building, Kyler. You want to replace cards, even if you can't play a card for budget reasons, you want to replace a card with a card that does something similar. So Engineered Explosive serves 2 rules. It serves as disruption, and it serves as anti-disruption, and it serves as a way to generate extra mana when you're comboing. So if you can't afford the Engineered Explosives, you should play a second copy of Noxious Revival and a second main deck copy of Silence. What do I want to do here? I think I want to start with Opt. That's probably Sleight of Hand first, right? Get Sleight of Hand first. Guess I'm just taking that rather than a land. I'm definitely casting this. The question is, do I want to cast a bird this turn or do I want to just cast Opt? Hey, Ask for Alex with the brand new tier 1 sub. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks for helping keep me employed here. I think I'm gonna do this and cast the bird. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. And again, just like, we're kind of sweating bullets at this point because they could kill us at any moment. Playing the bird here is nice because it means if we opt into Glittering Wish next turn, we can play and cast Ascendancy and then use Engineered Explosives to get our combo going. So again, one of the reasons why Engineered Explosives is nice is because in addition to blowing up permanents on the other side of the table that are giving you fits, this is a 0 mana card that triggers Jeskai Ascendancy, so it allows us to get comboing without having any extra mana. Alright, Manamorphose probably means we're dead. I'm not going to concede till it's deterministic, but that's not good for us to say the least. Hopefully they just start casting cantrips here. Yep. Hopefully we just see like a bunch of Serum Visions and stuff here. Would be ideal for us. Okay, Ritual, I assume means we're dead. Usually they start casting Rituals when you're dead. Gonna concede to a Gifts Ungiven. Gonna concede to a Past in Flames. And again, I think this matchup is good for us, but good doesn't mean unlosable by any means. So that's a remand, sure. So we're taking 4 here, and the next one's going to deal 7, I believe, if my math is right. So they need 2 Grape Shots in their hand, which is possible. If they have 2 Grape Shots or another remand, we are dead here, or unsubstantiate. But I'm not going to concede till they show us it's deterministic. Enjoy your clicking. Alright, now we're dead. Sorry, I'm responding to a tweet. Nothing, no exciting tweet. Just someone asking about the work that I do. Alright, so all these copies of Silence come in. These copies of Engineered Explosives come out. This Noxious Revival is actually funny because it's like, it's technically Disruption this matchup a lot of the time. Get your opt. I'm pretty sure we don't want Leyline of Sanctity in this matchup. And by pretty sure, I mean like 95% sure. Pretty sure, because like, I'm pretty sure Silence is the better disruptive tool. And yeah, what Stamp It said, 4 Silence and 4 Leylines is definitely overboarding. And I'm pretty confident that Silence is just the better tool. Just because, like, Silence can disrupt their combo, and it protects our own. Fiery Justice is a pseudo-sweeper. That's one-sided, because remember, we don't want to play cards like Supreme Verdict, because we need creatures in play to win. We don't care about goblins. Goblins aren't good enough in this matchup, because if my opponent, like, storms off and makes a bunch of goblins, we can just untap and kill them. If it's probably the only person that plays a card game as their job and then as a software developer as a hobby. You are not incorrect, Pimped Up Monk. You are not incorrect. Yeah, I think the Noxious Revival is good. It can fuck with their combos sometimes, like in response to Past in Flames, like flip their only Grape Shot or Gifts Ungiven back on top of their deck, and it can also rebuy our silences, which is valuable. Yeah, it's funny, Pimped Up Monk. If you would have asked Jeff 5 years ago which of his 2 hobbies he thought he'd be more likely to convert into a full-time job, open source software development or Magic the Gathering, Jeff 5 years ago would have definitely guessed incorrectly. This hand's okay. It's got Noble Hierarch in it as a mana dork. It's got Silence as disruption. We need a Jeskai Ascendancy, obviously, but we got some cantrips to help us get there, so. I'm not even sure if we'd play Fire Covenant, to be honest. It's a lot of, like, paying health is a big deal in Modern, especially against aggressive decks. There you go, bottom, top. And getting a second mana dork in play is usually valuable. You generally have diminishing returns past the second mana dork, because when you have 2 mana dorks in play, that essentially guarantees you're not going to bottleneck on mana mid combo. Any mana dorks you play past that are just like kind of extra, because remember, having cards in your hand is valuable when you're comboing. So I think I'm going to fetch Shock here before I do anything, just because if I bottom cards with the Serum Visions, I don't want to be putting them back on top of my deck, or I don't want to be shuffling them back into my deck later. This is a pretty easy bottom here. And again, I'm going to hold up multiple copies of Silence here, just because my opponent is playing a Remand deck. So if they go for it next turn, I want to be able to cast Silence more than once. Drawing a lot of lands here, which is unfortunate, but it happens sometimes. Remember, this deck does see a lot of cards, so even though we play a low land count, it's going to feel like you're flooding more than you really are, because even though we play a few lands, when you see a lot of cards, you're going to see a lot of all of your cards. Usually you silence when they flash back past in flames. That would have been a good Nagging Thoughts. It would have ditched, what's it called? God, these are pretty rancid. Shamans went 2-1 drop, yep. I'm just gonna go ahead and pass here. Maybe I'm supposed to, I definitely should have used the Noble Hierarch for mana there. Leaving one of my mana sources exposed to interaction here is a bad play. I should have used the Noble Hierarch and like the Hallowed Fountain there, and left like Sylvan Caryatid plus whatever out. When Zendikon doesn't solve a problem this deck has, this is a good example of a game that's like, that shows like the primary problem with this deck. A lot of the cards people like to suggest to this deck are giving more access to mana creatures. This deck's problem isn't finding mana creatures. This deck's problem is getting Jeskai Ascendancy into play and keeping it in play, because if you get a Jeskai Ascendancy into play and keep it in play, you're going to win the game, because every cantrip you cast while Jeskai Ascendancy is in play is basically very souped up, because you get a loot attached to the cantrip. So like, if you can keep Ascendancy in play, you're going to find your mana creatures. All right, so my goal is to minimize the number of cards they can draw here, so I'm going to bin Past in Flames and Manamorphose here. Commune with the Gods is interesting. That's not a card I've tested. 2 mana cantrip, 2 mana cards come at a premium, because 2 mana cards while you're comboing are much, much worse. They're much worse for you. Correct. Glittering Wish does beat Surgical on Ascendancy. It does, in fact, do that. Yeah, or counterspell. Sometimes they have like random copies of like Swan Song or something like that. I'm gonna fetch a basic island here and then cast the Serum Visions. Jeff 5 is the cool stuff promo. I think I just go top and pass here. I think I just go top and pass. So I could try to start comboing here, but I think trying to start comboing without silencing first is a bad idea. So I really don't want to do that. And if I silence first, I don't have any 1-mana cantrips left in my hand, which means I can't really do much. Do I want to cast this Sylvan Caryatid, or is it going to be valuable as a card to discard next turn? I think the extra mana might actually be valuable more than having the card to discard is going to be. Just because they could like remand my initial silence, and like I have Nagging Thoughts in my hand, and Nagging Thoughts is a card that generates card advantage on a loot, so that means our bottleneck is not likely to be card. So basically we need to not die on their turn, and then we should be a strong favorite to combo on our next turn. So hopefully this silence is enough to keep us alive through whatever they have set up next turn. Sure. Okay. I hope only having 2 mana here doesn't come back to bite us. I guess they could have double remand for this silence and we could be in trouble. Like maybe get punished for having played out the Sylvan Caryatid. We know 2 of the cards in their hand are rituals right now because we gave those to them off of the gifts ungiven. Okay, they have nothing. They must have a lot of interaction in their hand. Do you have a Dispel? Baleful Strix is an interesting idea of a card to add to Modern. Quicken. Okay. Are they just cycling that? Or do they have something worth playing here? Are they about to Past in Flames me? I think we're about to die. I think we're about to die. That's adorable. I know that there is a Glittering Wish on top of my deck. I really don't want to give them free Storm Count. Although they probably have enough at this point. Quicken's good technology. Well, they have another Quicken in their bin, so they're going to flash back the Quicken off the Past in Flames, and then they're going to cast the Grape Shot and kill us. Yeah, I think I have to Manamorphose and like hope the card under this Glittering Wish is. I mean, we're deterministically dead if I don't hit a silence. If I don't hit another copy of Silence. And you know that my top card is a Glittering Wish. I guess, like, Quicken just wasn't a card that was on my radar. If Quicken was a card that had been on my radar, I would have started not on the Silence. Yeah, we're dead. Sweet. That was a good line from the opponent. Sweet sideboard card out of them. Neat. It's probably very good at playing around counter magic or cards like this is like pseudo counter magic basically, right? Is what Silence ends up being. I don't think they had to be ghosting. I think that's an overassessment. I think the only reason for me to silence at the start of my turn like that is because I planned to kill them that turn. So trying to kill me in response to my silence seems like a very reasonable conclusion. Yeah. I agree. They quickened into the combo. They quickened into killing us. Ooh, Street Wraith usually means a bad matchup. Hopefully this is Hallowed One. Hallowed One's a decent matchup for us because our linear draws on average are faster than their linear draws. But if it's a throwback like Grixis Death Shadow, it's going to be pretty tough for us. No, I don't think that's true. I think I'd still board in Silence. My sequencing is different if I'm aware of Quicken though. If Quicken is a card that's on my radar, I wouldn't lead on my Silence that turn. Remember when I said our linear draw on average is better than theirs? I lied. All right. They only needed 13 Storm. I was at 13, Adam. It was deterministic. With the spells that they were going to get from the gifts ungiven, they were going to kill me. It's hard to be too upset with people doing things like turn 1 Hallowed when we're playing a deck that can kill people on turn 2. You know, like, we're definitely doing obnoxious things too. If they have a Delve, help, you know? My hand was good. They bin their Gurmag Angler. That's really good for us. I'm gonna get Hallowed Fountain here. I'm just gonna put Sylvan Caryatid back on top of my deck here, right? Yeah, I think so. And that's why Revival's great. Like, Revival's very good. And now if we draw an Engineered Explosives or a land next turn, we get to combo them most likely. We also get to block Bloodghast here, which is great. Any linear combo deck is classified as unfair. Unfair refers to decks that aren't winning through, like, honest, like, attack you with creature means in general when you're referring to fair and unfair in Magic. I don't have another Hallowed one here. We might even get an extra turn, which is nice. Land. So if I guess I can Cerulean Wisps because it's free to try and draw a land. And that's also technically free. Cupcakes for Dredge, Jaw. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bumping it on up. I make blue-white here. We're not a lock to combo this turn. We don't have... The problem with just passing here is that we're dead to Bolt. Yeah, that's why passing is loose, because we're dead to Bolt. I think I'm supposed to Nagging Thoughts plus cast Noble Hierarch here. Because Nagging Thoughts gives us a chance to hit a land. And then Noble Hierarch can chump block the Hallowed one to give us another turn, hopefully. Now I don't even necessarily have to chump block the Hallowed one, which is nice. I am playing the event in Chicago this weekend. I think I'm playing this. This is my top pick currently. If I cast Jeskai Ascendancy using my Sylvan Caryatid, I was dead to bolt there, yes. I think I'm supposed to keep the Noble Hierarch because our chance we died at double bolt or bolt brutality with this block, but I think keeping my Noble Hierarch is valuable here. There is a team constructed 5K in Chicago this weekend. Would I ever work a day job again? If this stopped making money, this is making as much money as the day job that I had previously at one point was. So, you know, as long as this makes enough money to be a job, I'll be here doing this like a job. You have Flesh Blood in the sideboard to wish for to attack with Sylvan Caryatid. Attack with Sylvan Caryatid. So double mana dork here means we have plenty of mana as resources, so our bottleneck here is likely to be cards, even though we do have plenty. So that's my plan, Isha. I plan to be here 30 to 40 hours a week until people decide they want to stop paying me to be. So I'm like, if at any point my subscriber count dips and the donation queue dries up, I'll still stream some amount. It'll just go back to, you know, being 5 to 10 hours a week like a hobby, because that's what it'll be if it's not making money. I had never intended this to turn into an actual job, but since it is, I'm gonna sit here and run it into the ground until it's not making money like a job. It's a sweet job to have, and I know I'm very lucky to have it. So, as always, big shout out to the people that let me do this as a job. Do I want another Ascendancy here? That's probably fine, right? Lets me kill them faster, lets me loot for a Fatestitcher faster. I'm gonna bottom both of these. I really don't want a third Ascendancy. So we'll go white, red, this one. Remember, your cards in your hand are a resource with this deck. So it is not free to take this Jeskai Ascendancy. If I was bottlenecked on cards, it would not be free. Thankfully, we're just going off and we're pretty deterministic at this point. We almost certainly can draw our entire deck now. We're looking for Fatestitchers at this point. I worked as an analyst for an insurance company for a year and a half after grad school. But most of the software dev type stuff I've done is mostly like freelance and hobby projects, open source contributions, etc. Gonna need a lot of dice this weekend. So, the only reason to keep Manamorphose over one of the 1 mana blue cantrips is if you're bottlenecked on mana, because Manamorphose nets you a mana, but because I have double Ascendancy and I have double Dork, we are not bottlenecked on mana. We have more mana than we could ever dream of using with this hand. And this is the point in the game where, in the tournament this weekend, if my opponent just had this up, I'm just gonna flip my hand up at this point and just be like, this is my stuff, you can concede at any point. So that way, they can do the math and figure out when I'm deterministic. Or like, if I was playing the paper tournament at this point, I would explain to them, I'm gonna cast this Glittering Wish and get my Flesh Blood out of my sideboard here, and then you're going to die to it. I'm gonna have to cast a few more cantrips before I get there, but you are deterministically dead at this point. So we cannot brick at this point. They are dead. We just have to, you know, go through the motions, so to speak. Well, so you shouldn't just put the counters on the Ascendancy itself, because your creatures enter play at different times. So like, if we got a Fatestitcher here, I need a separate counter for that Fatestitcher. Look, you're in a tournament setting, whatever. You're entitled to waste time And like, dude, do whatever you want. It's your life. Who am I? Who am I tell you? Yeah, I need to update my Jeskai Ascendancy article. That's going to be my article for next week, I think. Just so like when people ask about cards like View from Above, I can just link them an article instead of having to talk about why they're bad. View from Above is a win more card, is the TLDR on why it's bad. It's only good when you're already winning the game. And when you're already winning the game, you don't need to maximize your deck further. The goal with a deck like this should be to make your deck consistent and help you win the game more often. I don't know how I want to sideboard this matchup, which is probably something I should think about. Yeah, the engineered explosives have been very good. They're anti-disruption that's also a 0 mana card to get your combo going when you're tight on mana. I think I definitely want this path. I don't think this is a Leyline of Sanctity matchup. Honestly, do we hate just doing this? Just like path to exile in, nothing else, like swap path for silence? I feel like just like racing them here is reasonable. I feel like we just want to race them, right? It might not be unreasonable to just board in Fiery Justice, like trim an EE for a Fiery Justice. It's definitely too cute, I think. Even boarding in Fiery Justice probably isn't good enough. No, this deck doesn't really care about Blood Moon. You have mana creatures that let you play through it, and you have Manamorphose. Also, a lot of the black-red decks haven't really been playing Blood Moon lately. Blood Moon's not very good in Modern in the current format. Wear Tear is a card that you can Glittering Wish for. Remember, you usually don't want to oversideboard. I think if I was going to board in anything, I'd board in Fiery Justice because it kills all of their big threats, but honestly, I think I just want to race. When in doubt with this deck, less is more, don't really sideboard. You are a linear kill them deck. Do what you do best. The EEs are not good in terms of being disruptive, but they are good on our combo terms in terms of generating extra mana, which is why we play EE in the main deck. So this hand's actually pretty good. It's got a cantrip to dig for more stuff. It's got a Caryatid on 2. It's got a Glittering Wish to find an Ascendancy. We're basically just looking for more lands, which we just immediately found. I'm going to go bottom of 4th land, top of Sleight of Hand here, I think. Next turn, we can go Caryatid, and the following turn, we can go Glittering Wish plus Sleight of Hand. Hey, Zach Myers. 3 months already. Here's lots of memes and good times we've had. Here's to many more. Thank you. Thank you for the quarter of your support. I do appreciate that. And Mert... Metzer Hassan? Metz? I'm just going to say Metz. Metz, thanks for the 2-month resubscription. I appreciate that. Welcome back. That's a reason to keep the 4th land. The fact that they could take our lands away is a reason to keep the 4th land in my hand. We did, however, keep 2nd land Sylvan Caryatid, and they drew us into an actual Jeskai Ascendancy, so, like, we've got that going for us. Do you not have a 2nd land? Please tell me you don't have a 2nd land. God bless. Nice weaponized variants. Hey, Raven's Anger with the brand new Twitch Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now. Thanks for supporting mine this month with that. Welcome. And this is actually a good example of like where Engineered Explosives could be good. If we play the Ascendancy next turn without drawing a land, the Engineered Explosives allows us to untap our Sylvan Caryatid without needing mana to get started. The problem with Life from the Loam in this deck, in my experience, is, again, one of the reasons I think this deck has legs up on Storm is because you generally don't care about graveyard hate. And, you actually shouldn't budget the land. You should budget the Engineered Explosives, and you should budget the Noble Hierarchs. I'm going to make a command here really quick. Two EEs and 2 Nobles out. 1 fetch land, 1 opt, 1 silence, 1 revival in. Hey, Bilbo, thank you very much for the 10-month resubscription. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. They probably can't take this off the table. Yeah, they just needed to put a thing into play. So I'm going to cast this Engineered Explosives for 0 here. There's a good chance we don't combo this turn. Hey, Subtrain, AJC dude. Thank you very much for the Twitch Prime support. Welcome. I would like to loot. Flooded Strand's not a bad draw. Flooded Strand's actually great, right? Because I haven't played a land yet this turn. Actually, I'm gonna fix that. This is, I was just gonna say, if you need to budget more, cut lands for rainbow lands. It definitely is weaker to removal than Ironworks, but it's much, but you can play through removal with this deck more so than you can play through Stony Silences and Rest in Pieces and stuff like that. Probably another Path to Exile or another Abrupt Decay. So now we're kind of getting past our mana bottleneck. Not fully yet, but we do need to solve our card bottleneck as well. That's actually going to make more mana for us. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make green white. And I'm going to go ahead and make blue with this. I'm going to go ahead and Glittering Wish for our draw 2. Anti-Trumpet, looking forward to the Jeskai aggro deck in the next few days. Thanks for the 5-month resubscription. I appreciate that. We will be getting to that one very soon. So we have a 2-mana draw 2 in our sideboard here. I agree with you to a point, Pikes, except for the fact that anybody that thinks they can metagame any Magic tournament with more than 50 players in it, I think is kind of stupid. I think trying to metagame a tournament that has people coming from hours around, especially in a format like Modern, where people largely play basically whatever they want to play, is kind of silly and asking to just set yourself up for disappointment. So I'm actually going to Noxious Revival Manamorphose at this point, because I have a lot of cards that I want to discard. And Noxious Revival, much like Engineered Explosives, because it's a free spell, it generates us an additional mana here. So we're going to get to go ahead and loot. Discard this Birds of Paradise. I'm going to put this Manamorphose on top of my deck. And again, the card I'm really looking for at this point is Fatestitcher, because Fatestitcher is going to alleviate our mana bottleneck entirely, because what Fatestitcher is going to do is Fatestitcher is going to allow us to start generating extra mana with every spell that we cast. So now Manamorphose lets us jump up a mana. It nets us 1 additional, just like Engineered Explosives and Noxious Revival, because we spend 2 mana, it untaps our mana creature, and then it generates 2 mana. I'm actually going to keep the Engineered Explosives here, because it feels like if I bottleneck this game, it's going to be on mana. So I'd like to give myself the least possible chance to bottleneck on mana. So hopefully with these loots and stuff here, we're going to be able to find our... Oh, that was a mistake. I should have discarded the Nagging Thoughts. Hey, look, there's a Fatestitcher. Perfect. So now let's go ahead and cast the Sleight of Hand. And this is going to let me loot into... So I should have discarded the Nagging Thoughts last time. But now I definitely want to discard the Fatestitcher so I can get past my mana bottleneck. And that is exactly why I would not play a combo deck that's hosed by 2 cards. Yep. Yep. And most things in Modern are open fields. The only non-open field you're going to find in Modern is your local game store where the same 20 people show up every week. That's the only non-open Modern field. Modern is a very diverse format, even at the competitive level. You've been saying Blood Moon's bad in the current meta. Do you think it's bad in Mardu Pyromancer? Decks like Bogles or Stonecold Tool. But again, Bogles is a very small part of the metagame, and there's going to be games where Bogles just gets to get under your Blood Moon. You're going to be on the draw with your Blood Moon, and it's not going to be anywhere near fast enough. I think most of the good decks in the format either don't care about Blood Moon or have plenty of draws where they just get under it. So because I have this Fatestitcher now, I definitely am not going to have a mana bottleneck this game, so I can discard this Engineered Explosives because that's no longer going to be the point that I get choked up on mid-combo here. We have to go ahead and diddle their Gurmag Angler here. That way it's not going to be able to block. They are... I think we're deterministic at this point because my thing's going to be big enough to attack with, and I can Glittering Wish for... Flesh Blood on my Sylvan Caryatid. We have plenty of time. There's 12 minutes left. I have time to combo a third time. Okay, we good. We good. I actually didn't leave the right colors of mana floating. Not that it matters because I have plenty. Oh wait, I can untap this for red, right? And then we go blood, do 13 with this. Just gonna untap my Fatestitcher. And we'll go ahead and attack them for 6 here. And they're dead. Okie doke. Well, we're two and one. 2 and 1. Tough loss to Storm. Opponent had some sweet quick and tech, but we're running people down other than that. No respect for modern staple Slaughter Pack? Nope, they didn't have 3 lands. I could have played around Slaughter Pack there, you are right though. This hand could turn 2 my opponent. It's been a while since we've had a turn 2. It's been a while since we've had a turn 2 at this deck, chat. If you are enjoying this deck, and this is the first time you've seen this deck played on this channel, there are a ton of videos of this deck on my YouTube channel. I played this deck a bunch. I think it's a lot of fun. So people have donated for runbacks, and I've used dealer choice runs on it. All right, those both generate us. All right. All right. Look at Modern's a turn 3 format, chat. I took 2 turns. They took 1 turn. We are 2 and 1. If you want to go against the grain on the channel, Malicious, you gotta do some splaining. You gotta say, Rip doesn't do anything against it because, and then explain yourself for me. I'm trying to decide if I actually want to go for it this turn or not. Going off on turn 2 is actually kind of hard. Don't think, just do. Kind of. Like, I want to practice taking good lines for this weekend. No, they shouldn't play main deck Rex Sage. It's very unlikely. No, I shouldn't have even played this. I'm just gonna do this and pass. Yeah, I'm just gonna play this and pass. Yeah, turn 2 was much easier with Probe. That's definitely the case. Get in there, Birds of Paradise. I want to just practice playing good Magic. If they were playing a deck that could possibly demand that I kill them, I would do it, but I'm just gonna go ahead and wait here. If we were just memeing to meme, I would try and go for it there, and if we bricked off, whatever, but we're pretty unlikely to get there on turn 2, so I think I should wait. In the tournament, I wouldn't go for it there. If I'm playing the tournament on Saturday, I would not go for it there in that position. Generally speaking, the opponent's deck doesn't have interaction, like Path to Exile, especially game 1. So post-board, I'm more incentivized to make them have it and like try and push my luck there, but Or like if I was on the draw, I would have done it, but I definitely think it's wrong to press there. Post board, they're more likely to have cards like Eidolon or Reclamation Sage and stuff like that, but by and large, the opponent's deck is just a linear deck game one. And guess who's got 2 thumbs and is the better linear deck, chat? This guy right here. Well, that's just great. All right, Fatestitcher should mean this is done. So Fatestitcher solves maybe we could bottleneck on mana, and Nagging Thoughts solves, well, maybe we could run out of cards. So let's just do this. Boop. Untap this. Cast this. We have drawn a lot of bricks here, but we're going to get a bunch of loots and a bunch more looks still. All right, that's pretty close to deterministic. That's the line we would have taken, Demir. That is correct. If I felt like I needed to turn to my opponent or I just wanted to try, we would have discarded Abundant Growth, played another Engineered Explosives out for 0, and then ramped up into the Manamorphose. But there's still a pretty good chance that we brick with that line, so I think it's wrong to do it when our opponent's not threatening to beat us next turn. I mean, it's much better with Gitaxian Probe. Is that what you want me to say? Because that's the truth. All right, they're actually almost dead here, right? Because like this is 14 power here already. I have to cast very few more spells to actually kill them. Every spell we cast is plus 4 power, so this next spell is actually lethal, right? That's it. We did main turn. Well, this was a 5-turn game, right? Our opponent had 2 turns and we took 3 turns. This is just super fair and balanced, chat. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I saw the land drop too, but that doesn't really matter. All right, so I think I want Abrupt Decay because some of these elf decks have Damping Sphere in the board. I'm gonna cut the Silence. Engineered Explosives is okay. Explosives seems okay. I think I just cut Opt. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna cut Silence, Opt, and bring in the 2 Abrupt Decay. I don't think I want Path to Exile. I think that's maybe a little bit overboarding, because usually they don't have too much disruption. But I think like 2 Explosives, 2 Decay is probably fine. Maybe I want the Path on the draw. Yeah, I'm a liar. I'm gonna bring in the Path on the draw because they're the Devoted Druid build. I need to kill Devoted Druid on 2. You don't get to, right? That is definitely true. You do miss the I killed them on turn 2 in Modern. This format's degenerate. Well, this is an excellent Hearthstone hand. Unfortunately, we need to play Magic this game. This hand's actually pretty bad. Double Fatestitcher in the opener is pretty rancid. We don't have 1 mana cantrip. This hand's not good, but it's keep. You shouldn't, again, the big thing to remember, Algarth, with this deck is you don't want to oversideboard. You should never be boarding more than 5 cards with this deck, except against Burn. Burn is the only matchup you board more than 5 sideboard cards with this deck. Actually, it might even be lower than that. It might be 4. 4 might be the most I board in any matchup other than Burn. It's really pretty hard to be truly unlucky with this deck because the deck is like almost mono cantrips. That's the first time we've mulliganed lower than 6 today. Because like a lot of your hands are just keepable because like lands and spells are almost always keepable in this deck. They have Devoted Druid. They're a Devoted Druid build. Nope, you shouldn't mulligan it, board an extra against Mill. Most decks, it's wrong to board up against Mill. It's just kind of nonsense to think that you should. The way you're diluting your deck from finding the cards that you care about is not worth the couple extra cards you're adding in. They could have Damping Sphere. They likely have Eidolon of Rhetoric. It's actually a very good card. Because when you're comboing off, you generally draw enough cards to find one of your 2 Fatestitchers, and having more that 6 is a great example of why we don't play more Fatestitchers. Fatestitcher doesn't help you combo faster, it helps you keep going off once you're comboing. I'd much rather have cards like Noble Hierarch that allow me to combo faster. Modern is a format that's about taking your pedal and pushing it all the way to the floor. Whoa, that's annoying. That's fucking rude. That's a big old bag of dicks, huh? Well then. Well then. So, for those that aren't familiar, Phyrexian Invoker gets down mana abilities. So, Sylvan Caryatid has been downgraded to an 03. No, I think I just play Ascendancy. Pretty sure I just play Ascendancy and pass. That's a bag of dicks. Ideally, I would like to Abrupt Decay this Phyrexian Invoker, not Engineered Explosives it, because remember, Explosives is going to kill my Sylvan Caryatid. Sure, but like, I don't really have lines to play around Direct Stage here, so like, talking about playing around Rec Stage is like kind of pointless. It's like, again, you should only play around things you can beat, and if I can't beat that, I shouldn't play around it. A lot of Magic players spend a lot of mental effort thinking about things that they're just fucked if their opponent has them anyways, so you shouldn't play around those. Don't spend your time and energy thinking about cards that you're not going to be able to beat. We weren't dead until they cast this card at them. Always make them show you their payoff. They're playing a 3-card combo deck, and sometimes they don't have all 3 parts. I'm gonna cut this Path to Exile. No, that's not true. That's not true. They showed us annoying cards. Yeah, I'm gonna submit. So for those that aren't familiar with the opponent's deck, Azuri gives our opponent a way to pump their Devoted Druid infinitely, which means we were going to die. This hand's okay. It needs some more lands, but it's got double mana creature. Yep, yeah, and like, I didn't make my opponent like click through making the mana there, but I am gonna make them show me the card that like actually kills me. That's just good magic. Like, don't make your opponent do the tedious part, but, you know, make them show you that they can actually kill you. There is a deck list on your screen, Mean Bean. If you are on mobile, you can type !deck in chat to get a link to a deck list. I think if we brick on a land, which we didn't because I'm a goddamn professional, I think I'm just supposed to play the Sylvan Caryatid here. I can kind of play around a Rec Stage, I think. If I draw a land or a 1-mana spell next turn, we can combo them, and I have Manamorphose as a redraw to do that. I think this deck is very good. I think this deck is very consistent at what it does and is doing something objectively powerful. How do you know you can combo them? It's deterministic based on the number of pumps your spells in hand can give. Yeah, we get 2 shots at a land or a cantrip here. Maybe I shouldn't fetch just to not thin just because our land count is so low. That also technically works, right? It's not a cantrip, but it's just like a 1 mana spell to like get us untapped initially. One of the few times when pathing the Elvish Mystic is the correct play. Yeah, let's loot. Might as well. Good clean turn 3U. So we're kind of short on, we have plenty of mana because we have double mana creatures. We're kind of short on card density. So remember, Glittering Wish nets you cards. We have a draw 2 in our sideboard that you get to Glittering Wish for. So we get to go ahead and grab Scarscale Ritual here. We get to go. Jeff cast Pot of Greed. It is a free draw 2. It is a free draw 2. And we have 17 minutes on the clock, so 17 minutes to Dirtle. Ooh, that's kind of scary. I guess we have 4 looks here. We're pretty unlikely to brick, but drawing double brick feels pretty scary. Okay, sweet. Ascendancy should mean we're good again. I'm actually going to play this other Ascendancy out here because I don't want to brick off on these loots. At what point does it move from non-deterministic to deterministic? When you have enough spells to attack for lethal and a way to push through. So the third Jeskai Ascendancy is probably something we're going to loot away because remember, you need a critical mass of cards to combo with this deck. So we need to be able to keep drawing cards to keep playing Magic, basically. So these Jeskai Ascendancies, while they do give us more loot, they're card negative because they don't replace themselves when we play them. So we're looking for copies of Nagging Thoughts. So Nagging Thoughts probably gets us into the deterministic range at this point. We're going to need to find a Fatestitcher, but basically we're going to see enough cards here. Like, we have enough cards to let us draw enough cards that we're going to find a Fatestitcher and then kill them. So enjoy the ride, opponent. You pretty much never need a third Ascendancy. And look at that. We get to take this bird. We get to bin the Fatestitcher. Alright, this is still resolving. I technically missed making a mana there, but mana's not the problem. Yeah, for people that like want to make you play it out, there are times where you can brick off and die, but like this is not one of those times at this point. Untap their elf to make a statement. I think I'll pass. So I've got 14, and again, at this point, every spell that I cast is... At this point, I wouldn't have to cast these spells at an actual tournament. I'd be like, I have plenty of mana. I'm going to cast these spells. Every one of them is +4 attack. You're going to die. So, like, in order for them to not be dead at this point, I'd have had to have no spells in my hand, which is just, like, incredibly unlikely. Yep, you just keep going with your hand face up. You just flip it up and, like, this is my stuff. You're dead. We can keep doing stuff here, but you're dead. All right, we're 3-1. We're waiting for the 5th and final match in this league to pop. I'd just like to thank everyone for hanging out here today. My name's Jeff Hogan. I stream Magic full-time on this channel. If you're enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my stuff, or at the very least, make sure you hit that follow button. My subscribers are why I'm able to stream full-time here like I do. You can also check out some of our wonderful sponsors. They keep the stream going as well. Cardsphere.com would love to help you turn some of your cards into other cards you're cash direct with other players. There's no haggling. They just take 1% fee off the top. Mac Weldon provides premium men's clothing. Using code Jeff Hogan at bit.ly/Hugo Clothes, you can save 20% on your first order there. They do premium shorts, shoes, blah. I always say shoes. They don't do shoes. Shorts, socks, underwear, t-shirts, polos, all sorts of great stuff there. And of course, this stream wouldn't be possible without viewers like Anoronix, Justin, Nivik, and all of y'all out there. Thanks for hanging out. We're diving on into our 5th match in this league. After this, we're going to have a throwback for people that have been Hogland fans for a while. We're gonna play some Kiki Court after this. We're gonna play some Kiki Court after this league. It's gonna be a trip down memory lane. So this seems pretty good. I did separate my sponsor screens to keep it short. Unlike some Magic the Gathering content that's focused mostly on advertisements, I want the focus of my channel to be the Magic content. So while the adverts are important, they help keep me here streaming. I don't want big giant ad breaks to be the focus of the stream. Yeah, I think after what we played through yesterday, I think I prefer the Lotus version. The more all-in version just like isn't quite good enough, I don't think. I'm gonna go bottom here. We're just looking for an Ascendancy at this point. And again, there is not actually. We get to play Legacy staple Goblin Chain Whirler now, which means we no longer have to splash black for Pontiff. "2019 will be the year of the Hoogle infomercial." I think Nissa is worse than a lot of the other Planeswalker options that you have in Modern. I don't think she's particularly good in my opinion. I'm gonna top this. The opponent could be playing Storm, but they could also be playing something interactive. So I'm gonna play the Fatestitcher, because casting Fatestitcher against interactive blue decks is actually pretty good, because you can end step diddle one of their lands and then untap diddle another one of their lands to prevent them from playing counterspells on your stuff. Why would you add another triple red goblin to Kiki Court? Look, some of us do strange things for money. We do have to worry about Supreme Verdict. That's definitely a card that's on my radar at this point. We do get to diddle them off a land this turn, which is nice. I'm just going bottom here. We're running kind of cold here, but again, our deck is all cantrips, so we get to eventually find our shit. The shit is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Alright, so I'm gonna pass at this point. So during their upkeep, I'm going to tap one of their lands so they can't Supreme Verdict us. Sure. I'm going to go ahead and play the Cerulean Wisps now so they can't path my thing in response. Just like drawing the card is the most important part here. Want to make sure that happens. I'm going to tap their white land during their upkeep. I'm glad we're getting to play against the blue deck. It's been a while since I've practiced silence sequencing against a blue deck. I'm going to put a stop during... Oh, well, that's really good for me. Come on, Ascendancy. Ascendancy or Glittering Wish. Ascendancy or Glittering Wish. Ascendancy or Glittering Wish. I don't need to stop on my draw step anymore. Ascendancy or Glittering Wish. Yes! Ding, ding, ding. Do, 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 do. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Do, 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 do. And again, not deterministic. That's probably deterministic. Fatestitcher means I need a lot less triggers to actually kill them, so we'll definitely take that for now. So, when we have this many creatures that can attack, it's very trivial to kill them, because when every spell we cast generates, you know, 4 power, we don't need to cast that many spells to actually kill our opponent. That's bingo! Alrighty. Ooh, found a piece of candy, chat. We found a piece of candy. This is important. You should diddle their Azcanta for good measure. It's like, boop it on the nose. Be like, you've been a badass, Canta. Yes, you have. No, naughty ass, Canta. You've been naughty. You've been naughty. Are they dead already? They might be dead already. This is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 power. Now tap the cards in their hand. Just tap it in. Tap it in. Everybody listening, just tap it in. We're actually drawing kind of an incredible number of bricks here. But it just doesn't matter because we have so many mana creatures in play. This is an impressive, like, if anybody needed to build a house, I've got you covered. They're dead because we have enough creatures. But it's a pretty impressive number of lands and creatures in a row. They dead yet? This is 12. This is lethal, right? This is 12, 18, 23. Just tap my Ascendancy, right? All right, and again, in every matchup, you want to determine what disruption package you want. Against a counterspell deck, we want our 4x silence disruption package. So I'm going to cut these engineered explosives. I don't think I want to cut Noxious Revival, because Noxious Revival allows me to rebuy an Ascendancy that they've counterspelled. We could have hit them for a lot of damage. I think I'm just going to trim an Opt. Trim an Opt. Maybe I trim Cerulean Wisps. I'm actually going to trim Cerulean Wisps, because it's a cantrip that doesn't always guaranteed cantrip. We could have done a buck ton of damage. This is the last match with this deck. After this league, we are going to fire up a league with Kiki Cord, and then we've got a Jund mid-range deck as well. So we've got at least 2 more leagues today. We'll see how long those leagues take before we make any promises for more. If that was the third game, I probably would have, like, masturbated for a while, but it's the first game, so I don't want to risk timing out. Sometimes, against the counterspell decks, you can occasionally have games that you lose and that end up going long. Don't do me dirty today, Kiki. Exclamation point donation queue. Exclamation point deck sees the current deck. Exclamation point donation queue shows you the future decks that we're going to be playing today, because we are well organized on this channel. Make the information easy and accessible for the viewer. Going to turns with this deck is fine, right? Because, like, you only need 1 turn to kill them. So, like, turn 5 of turns, just, like, do your thing. And Engineered Explosives is very good in this deck. I think if you're looking to play this deck and you want to play optimally, Engineered Explosives is fine. I think if you want to budget the deck and not play it, I think you can also be competitive without that. But I'm pretty convinced at this point that the optimal version of this deck has 2 Engineered Explosives in the main deck. That MTG was about hiding data, right? Look, don't call the WotC data police, chat. They're gonna throw me in WotC jail. Don't do that. All this freely available information. It's so confusing and scary. Explosives is also like a card, like, if you're someone who just, like, plays a lot of Modern, you're gonna get a lot of mileage out of owning Engineered Explosives. The card goes in, like, literally everything. This hand's actually pretty good. We've got 3 cantrips that we can cast to help us find land drops. I have my Ascendancy plus a Silence set up, and actually not having a Mana Dork isn't as big of a deal against a control deck, because the control decks tend to kill our Mana Dorks anyways. So if we can stick Ascendancy and then untap with it and bin Fatestitcher, we can kill them with Fatestitcher that same turn. No, do not play Ratchet Bomb in this deck. The reason why Engineered Explosives is good in this deck is because it's a 0 mana spell. So this is budget JAC. These are the budget replacements if you want to make this deck cheaper. Those are the cards you should cut and what you should replace them with. Ain't that pretty? Ain't that pretty? Wanted some lands, top, in, sold, deal. Temple of Enlightenment. That's interesting. This is allowed, but Splinter Twin isn't because Wizards of the Coast is inconsistent in their application of the ban list. Yeah, it's probably the Miracles build. I agree with that. So I know I want the land that's on top of my deck, but I'm still just going to go ahead and cycle through these ops here because I want to try and find some more stuff like that. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. We want you. This is one of the few matchups where you really don't mind flooding a little bit. He says as he really starts to flood. I look for a mana dork here. I think I'm gonna fetch Shock first. You want to fetch Shock first. And again, I'm fetch Shocking, so I'm putting a card in the bottom of my deck, and I'd like to not shuffle that card back in most of the time. Extra Silence, huh? I think that's actually pretty good for us. I had someone message me a Legacy JAC list. I don't know how I feel about it in general. Vendilion Click here would be kind of a beating, because I don't have a good way to protect the Ascendancy that's in my hand. I've played earlier versions of this deck with up to 3 copies of Noxious Revival. At this point, especially with humans being a dominant deck in the format, I think Engineered Explosives is just the better card for that type of slot. There's only so much room to play cards in this deck that don't actually replace themselves when you use them, so I think I'm a pretty big fan of my voice isn't working. I'm a pretty big fan of the current configuration that I have. So next turn, I get to go Silence into Jeskai Ascendancy, which is nice. Maybe I should have just cast Fatestitcher that turn, although I guess it could get Path to Exiled. Second Ascendancy is a great draw. That's a great draw. So no, I expect if you're going to send me a deck list, that it be a full deck list. Yeah, so one of the issues a lot of the time when you're playing this deck is you want what's the word I'm searching for? I'm just gonna jam this JAC here since I drew a second one. I think this is fine. They could have a negate or whatever here, or another mana leak, but I think this is worth playing. Just gonna we gotta play through the pain, chat. Looting generally isn't good enough. Looting does what Jeskai Ascendancy already does for you, and generally speaking, looting is not great when you're comboing, because more often when you're comboing, you bottleneck on cards rather than on... You just need a volume of cards. You don't need specific cards when you're comboing. No, I don't think it's worth playing the Manamorphose, because remember, I need spells left in my hand after I get the Ascendancy in play to actually start comboing. I think it's less obnoxious than the other cards we already have in the format. I think there's a lot of cards in the format that are more obnoxious than Splinter Twin. I think if streamers don't want people to backseat game, they probably shouldn't fucking stream. That's kind of the point, right? That's kind of the point. All right, so we could brick going for it here, but I think I'm supposed to go for it. I guess we can see what the draw off this Manamorphose is before we determine that. So the silence resolves. This is like our absolute best window to actually win the game here. Gonna make blue here. That's pretty unfortunate. Was I supposed to Noxious Revival in response there? Maybe I was supposed to Noxious Revival in response there. I think I'm gonna try and go for it here. We need to hit a spell that we can cast. I'm gonna untap this. We need a non-creature spell that we can cast here. Sylvan Caryatid, that's really unfortunate. No, it wouldn't be. Would it be? No, I should have Noxious Revivaled in response to the Manamorphose, because if I Noxious Revival in response to the Manamorphose would draw the card that I Noxious Revival to the top of my deck, which would give me a cantrip in hand to give me more selection. I'm just gonna permanently ban that person. That's my favorite. My favorite comment from like backseat gamers that we were just talking about there is like, they're like, well, I articulated myself and explained why on average I don't think a card like why on average I don't think a card like Faithless Looting is good, but then like they look at but in this specific instance it would be really, really good, so we should play it. And like, yes, there are going to be cards that are good in specific situations, but your goal is to play cards to play towards the average case scenario, not the best case scenario. That's how you build good decks. That's how you build good decks. You want to build your decks to minimize and maximize for the average case scenario, not the best case scenario. They don't actually take that long. This is barely 2 hours. I'm gonna jam this here. I think I lost this game because of my missequencing. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to have Noxious Revival in response to my Manamorphose, and then I would have had a Sleight of Hand with the Fatestitcher, which would have made me much less likely to brick off. I guess this blocks this, so we have some redraws here. You can play Magic Online on OS X the same way I play Magic Online on Linux. Just for reference. Pretty good chance for did here. And again, like, I think it's really easy to focus on the fact that, like, we got kind of unlucky and bricked off there when we had a few draws, but I could have sequenced in a way to minimize the variance that I exposed myself to, and I didn't do that. I'm just going to concede at this point. I'm going to go ahead and submit here. Unless you use Windows for other things too, installing Windows on your computer just for MTGO seems like a lot of obnoxiousness. Like I said, this is an actual Linux. This is a real terminal here with a real bash prompt, and we can play Magic Online just fine. The only matchup where I cut the Glittering Wishes is Burn, because Eidolon makes Glittering Wish too painful and slow. I'm gonna keep this. It's got 2 Ascendancies basically. It's got a Sleight of Hand, hopefully find a Mana Dork. I appreciate you don't force your opponents to play out stuff. Yeah, yep. Just, it makes for better content too. It's like my goal here is to make good Magic content. It's not to make like every time a streamer is deterministically dead to Storm and they make them click it out, I always turn their channel off. I'm like, this is so boring. You don't care about your viewers at all. You care more about your fun points than your viewers. It's just like tedious and dry. So I think I'm gonna make blue-green with this. That way if we hit a Mana Dork, we can put it into play. Silence isn't a bad draw. I'm gonna cast the Nagging Thoughts here, just like digging for Mana Dork, I think. I think I just want a critical mass of Ascendancies here, and I'm just gonna start slamming them. I mean, I really understand them not supporting, like, from a development standpoint, them not supporting OSX right out of the gate with Magic Arena makes sense. Like, remember, the game, it's just getting full standard, like, today or tomorrow, right? Like, they plan to support OSX with Magic Arena, but, like, starting your development small and then building up makes sense from a software standpoint. Okay, that is particularly annoying. Huh. Someone did mention it today, SP. You're actually not the first. We have a Wear Tear on our sideboard here. It's a good draw. Am I bidding this Opt? I don't actually know what I want to discard here. I don't have a fetchable black source is the problem. The problem with Wish for Decay is I don't have a fetchable black source in my deck. Sure, it does allow for it to happen easily, but it still does add more complexity to your testing process. So, like, from a software standpoint, I understand waiting. Yeah, the problem is my Caryatid, I can't cast this turn because of Damping Sphere, and the Caryatid is not guaranteed to resolve next turn. Wear Tear does kill both their things. What am I discarding here? It's probably just the Opt, right? It's probably the Silence, actually. Or do I want the Silence to guarantee? No, I'm going to discard the Silence. I'm going to discard the Silence. I'm going to discard my Silence. Bidding the Silence can make it harder to resolve this Wear Tear, which sucks, but this is fine. Yeah, I agree. If they tap out, I'm gonna Wear Tear, but if they don't tap out, I can't afford for this Wear Tear to be countered, I don't think. I don't think I can afford for this Wear Tear to get countered here. Easy bin. That's actually okay. Just gonna go ahead and pass here. They do have a white source now, which opens up like Celestial Purge, and it opens up Detention Sphere and stuff like that. I think I just end step wear this, because next turn I can go Glittering Wish plus Abrupt Decay. This is game 3. I punted game 2. It is a post-board game. What are the odds they have a wear tear of their own? Really low? Next to 0? So next turn I'm going to get to go Glittering Wish, untap this, then Abrupt Decay this, untap this, leaving me 2 mana, and then I can Manamorphose from there. So I think I'm just supposed to bin this extra Ascendancy. If they have a wear tear, I'm going to be really upset with that decision. No, they're not. Oh, that's true. They're not Jeskai. Yeah, they're just straight blue-white. Perfect. They could have a Spell Snare here, I suppose. They could have a Spell Snare. Doesn't look like they do. And again, this is why I love the Wish package, because even though I wasn't expecting a Damping Sphere out of them, I'm not cold to it because I have Glittering Wish to solve this problem. Mana is likely to be my bottleneck at the moment, so I want to keep my Manamorphose because they allow me to get past that bottleneck. So Manamorphose net me a mana when I cast them, and they replace themselves. They're valuable. I don't think I need this at this point. So I'm gonna make blue-red here. Maybe I was supposed to keep that, actually. I just play what people pay me to play. It's a really easy system. Maybe I should keep that because it lets me... I still have a land drop? I'm probably going to draw into a land, though, right? Ooh. I probably don't need to cast that, right? I feel like it's pretty unlikely that they have anything to do here just yet, and I don't have the extra resources to cast it. Pan Days with a 23-month resubscription. I do appreciate that. Welcome back. Perfect. And then Fatestitcher is going to give us... Fatestitcher is going to give us plenty of mana. So Fatestitcher means I should be pretty deterministic at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and cast the Silence. Because I also want to silence before I put the Fatestitcher into my discard. Or before I put the Fatestitcher into play, because I want to play... Actually, I technically should have silenced before I discarded the Fatestitcher, because if they had a Surgical Extraction here, that could have tagged the Fatestitcher before that resolved, which could have been detrimental to me. I definitely want to do it before the Fatestitcher's in play to play around Path to Exile. I still have my draw 2 in my sideboard, right? Yeah, Scarscale Ritual. So, how many Glittering Wishes am I through? I still have 1 Glittering Wish in my deck, so that's probably fine. So let's go ahead and do this. Untap here. I guess before I decide what I get with this, I'm going to loot away... this Nagging Thoughts, just to get a little bit more information. If we win this game, and it's looking like we're kind of a favorite to win this game, we'll be 4-1 in this league, just like most of the leagues we've played recently with this deck. I guess I'll take a land. I technically haven't played a land yet. Yeah, I guess at this point I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the draw 2. I think I'm actually gonna fetch an island at this point, just to like thin my deck. Because I have this draw 2, so like it's pretty unlikely that we brick at this point. Like I said, people often ask, am I playing this? Because we play a lot of decks just because they're sweet on this channel, and like people send them in. But like, I genuinely think this deck is good, and I've played it a lot at this point, so I feel like I have a pretty good feel for the matchups that it has in the format. That was wrong to discard, so I already played a land, but Wow, could we die because I just discarded that silence? Holy shit. Holy shit. Mistakes were made, chat. I got 3 looks to find another spell here. God, I even fetched within a land? Wow. 2 looks at a non-creature spell. Alrighty, that gives me 2 more looks. Every hit is 2 more hits. But again, the silence was important there because it was just a spell that would let me loot through some of these bricks. I was just kind of talking to chat and doing my thing and not really paying attention. So I've got 2 shots at drawing a non-creature spell here. All right, God bless. God bless. That gives us another look. So we want to keep drawing cards that give us redraws at this point. That just, fuck. Well, the deck definitely 4-1'd. I might not 4-1. I might not 4-1. Wow. Wow. Alrighty. Well, threw away both the post-board games here. I even fetched to thin. And fetching to thin in this deck is like often relevant. Yeah, we can't win at this point. We don't have enough cards in our deck to win it anymore. We don't have enough cards in our deck to win anymore. So if I would have had the silence, we would have looted into Abundant Growth, and then Abundant Growth would have looted us into that, and then drawn Serum Visions, and then Serum Visions would have looted us into Cerulean Wisps. So like, yeah. So if I literally just have 1 more spell in my hand there, we win the game. So the deck 4-1, but myself, while talking to chat, didn't. And like, in situations like this, it's really easy to look at cards like Faithless Looting and Past in Flames and View from Above and all these other cards that like are very good when you're fully going off. But in reality, if you shouldn't put bad cards in your deck to minimize variance that you could minimize by just not fucking up. Yeah, Faithless Looting is very good in Mardu Pyromancer. The card is a part of the reason why that deck is great, Johnny Redeemed. Do you think it's bad for some reason? Like, why wouldn't it be good? That deck has a bunch of cards that doesn't mind discarding, and it provides powerful selection in that deck. And that deck doesn't get to play blue spells to play selection. So, yeah. So I think I definitely dumpstered. I threw both these post-board games in the dumpster there. Like, just having that 1 more spell, like, having every loot really, really matters. No, that's really bad. And again, like, your question there, Mado, you wouldn't even be asking that question if I hadn't bricked off, right? So, like, you're asking, should I make a change to, like, mitigate variance that was bad, that only happened because I made a mistake? So, like, you shouldn't alter your deck to give you extra lines when you fuck up. You just shouldn't fuck up. This card has Defender, chat. This card has Defender. So this card doesn't attack. So this is actually the best card in the deck. If you ever play this deck and you think about cutting this card, you need to play the deck some more. The fact that this card is difficult to interact with is very, very good. You need a creature around to combo, and that card really lets you do it. Just like I said last time, I really like this deck list. Happy Modern, where every deck's a 3-2 deck. Thank you for the 9-month free subscription. I do appreciate that. All right, so yeah, this is, if I play JAC this weekend, this is the 75 I'm going to play. I think we need a Moto restart here. I need to get cards too. Yeah, we're almost at 2 gigs of RAM. I'm gonna give Moto a re-kick, and then we're gonna play some Kiki Chord. We're gonna kick Moto, and then we're gonna play some Kiki Chord, chat. It's gonna be great.